everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path. So today we're heading back to Mt Elliot and then on to Riley's Monument. A little bit more about that later on. So meeting the guys up here just on the outskirts of Corryong, heading around to the Murray Valley Highway where we're starting the Mt Elliot Track up to the Mt Elliot summit. Difference this time is I'm taking the dot, and from there we're continuing south on the Mt Elliot Ridge Track, which is nearly 40 kilometres of ridgeline driving on a single track, which is pretty amazing. So as you can see, the Mt Elliot Ridge Track does end down here at the end of Walker's Logging Road. From there we're taking the Mount Baldy Track and then Surveyors Creek Track all the way into Riley's Monument. Riley's Monument is a monument to Jack Riley, said to be the man that A.B. Patterson based the Man from Snowy River on. So he's known as the Man from Snowy River. There's a festival every year in Corryong about that, and his grave is also in Corryong. So look guys, without any further ado, let's get into the video for this one. Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, and we're off on another adventure. Heading up past Corryong to Mt Elliot to start this one. We got a great bunch coming on this trip again. Some of the usual suspects. So Luke will be along in his GU, and his brother-in-law Adam in another GU. We've got 3 GUs actually. Troopy Matt couldn't make it, so we have another Matt coming along, and pretty sure he's bringing a GU as well. So yeah, so we've got 6 vehicles. I just realised 3 Nissans, 3 Toyotas. Look at that, because the other 2 coming are Paul with his FJ and Dan from Out There with Dan with his 90 Series Prado. So yeah, 3 Toyotas and 3 Nissans. Yeah. So just heading out past Lake Hume at the moment, and bringing the dot on this adventure. So this is going to be my first time sort of tackling proper off-road stuff with the dot. In the past, before I started the channel, we used the dot for a few family camping trips, and we really didn't go, you know, too far beyond towing it on gravel roads really. So we're going to tackle some things quite a bit more challenging than just gravel roads. Let's just say I wouldn't be doing this trip with the dot solo, that's for sure. Oh, here we are, roadworks. Trailer brakes, what a good thing they are. Red light at the roadworks. So yeah, I wouldn't be doing this solo. Having 5 other vehicles along to get me out of trouble if I get into trouble, it's definitely a good thing. So this will be the second time camping in the rooftop tent. By the time this goes to air, you will have well and truly seen the episode where I, just after the tent was installed, I took it to Mongan's Bridge. I was going to take it over Easter, but had an issue with the Manager 30, so didn't take it. Might do a video on that, might not. So if you've seen a video about my issues with the Manager 30, then I did do a video. Okay. Alright, so yeah, looks like I'm going to be on time to meet the guys. I think most of them camped down on the Murray near Burrawee last night. Work-wise, I just couldn't get away till this morning. So yeah, we're meeting just near Corryong and heading up to the summit of Mt Elliot to start the day. So, and again, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you remember that Mt Elliot was the first sort of steep track that I took the 76 on. First time driving the manual in some steeper country. So that's going to be the first steep track I take the dot on as well. So looking forward to it, guys. All right, let's go. So guys, as you just heard, a bit of a recorded intro there on this one. So heading through the valley out towards Corryong with the mountains in the distance. Cracking part of the country out here. Don't actually get to this part of the high country that often, so it was a nice place to start. And just coming up on the meeting point now, the servo just outside Corryong. Some likely looking suspects there.
In 100 metres, make a U-turn. Continue on B400.
Couple of patrols and an FJ cruiser. So yeah, we met up with Paul and his FJ cruiser, Luca and Adam, both driving their GU patrols, although different motors, and Dan as well from out there with Dan. He rocked up just after me. So from here we're heading through Corryong, which is where this footage is taken. Great little township there on the edge of the high country, and importantly known for having the Manfred River Festival every year, which is relevant to this trip because end of this video we're heading to Riley's Monument, which is a monument to Jack Riley, said to be the person that A.B. Patterson based the story of the Manfred River on. Jack Riley's grave is actually in Corryong. He actually died though out here next to the Upper Murray, and that's where we're heading today. So starting to get off-road now. This will look familiar to long-time viewers. This is the start of the Mt Elliot Track, just outside Corryong off the Murray Valley Highway. Just a gate into a paddock there. There is a sign, so if you're looking for it, you will find it. It is a grazing paddock, so obviously keep the gate shut, don't leave it open. And yeah, we all just pulled up and aired down here. Nice easy spot off the main road to air down before starting the climb up to Mt Elliot. Now, given I'm towing, me being the lead vehicle perhaps wasn't the best idea, but I felt like I knew the Mt Elliot track, and apart from cows, I didn't think I was going to have too many issues. Yeah, well, we'll see about that, won't we? Same as last time though, coming up here, some cracking views across the valley, notwithstanding the power lines there in the foreground. Just, you know, the whole vista just opens up in front of you as you climb up around this corner. Now some footage here from the GoPro 7 mounted on the trailer. Apologies that it's overexposed. Really not sure what happened with the GoPro 7 on this trip, but pretty much all the footage from that GoPro is super overexposed, so I didn't end up actually using that much of it because the picture is just not there. It's very washed out, but I'll use it where I can and where it adds to sort of showing you guys what was going on. But beginning of the climb here, so starting for me to find out what gear I need to be in when I'm towing the trailer, which most of the time, if there's a bit of a climb, is second gear low range. Gentler slopes, third gear low range was adequate. As you can see, throwing up a bit of dust. And just working our way up the first part of this hill here on the Mt Elliot Track. This is sort of a long, steady slope, and then as you come up around this corner, it starts to get a little steeper. so far so good. The surface has been pretty good, firm base, good traction. Throwing plenty of dust up despite that. The 76 is doing a great job towing in these conditions. As I said, apologies for the footage from the GoPro 7. I'm really not sure if it was a setting or whatever, and you can see there we've just run out of traction, so there is this sort of fine silt layer and it's just a little bit deeper in that section, and we just literally ran out of traction. So moved over to the side there sort of as much as I can to give Paul and his FJ, who was following me, room to get around me, because we figured that was going to be probably quicker and easier than trying to run a winch out. You can see that's a little bit chopped up there, so it's a combination of the soft sand and probably losing a bit of traction there with the lack of flex in the stock suspension of the 76, and just not able to get over that little obstacle there. So yeah, I'm just trying to reverse up and push both me and the trailer off a little bit, I think. No, we're going to have another go. One more, no more, as the saying goes. And you can see there, I'm trying to get off the sand and get somewhere I can get some traction, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, I think I'm going to either have to come back and...
So yeah, it was time for Paul to come past in the trusty FJ. And as I always say, the GoPros really flatten the terrain and make it look less steep than what it is. So
it is steepy,
It
actually.
is actually steep.
You can see this is exactly where the GoPro was filming where we stopped, and you get a much better sense here with Dan filming of just how steep this little section is. Not to mention the nice view there. But that shows you just how much the GoPros do actually flatten the terrain and make it look much less steep than what it actually is.
Right.
Alright, chopper time.
Alright. So with a little bit of help from the FJ, we should be able to get the 76 and the dot up. This is how you make an FJ Cruiser, a 76 Land Cruiser, and a drifty dog trailer disappear. Very committed film cameraman there, Dan. Thank you. So yeah, continuing on, I was getting a bit of dust from Paul and generating plenty of my own dust. And fortunately, did see those brake lights come on. And yeah, I think with all the dust and everything, Paul just wasn't sure how I was tracking behind him, so pulled up. Just to check and discuss what the plan was going to be. So yeah, we decided to leave that strap connected for now, just in case. I did let him know there's another couple of steep sections between here and the summit, and it's quite possible that we might need some assistance getting up there, just in case, given that I wasn't expecting to need help there. I don't remember having any issues. Just goes to show the difference it makes towing even a relatively light camper trailer. Does make obviously a lot of difference, because I drove up here in the 76 with the road bias all terrains, no problem at all, and a little bit of weight on the back, and suddenly we're having challenges. trying to keep some tension on the strap there so it doesn't drag too much, but not so much tension that I'm holding Paul up too much. A little bit choppy through there. As you can see, his FJ's moving around and working, as is the 76, but we don't have a lot of tension on that strap and we're keeping pace pretty well. Cracking day for it, you know, you can see that sky is just crystal clear. So we did decide at that point that we should be pretty right. I was generally not having any issues, so yeah, we decided we should be pretty right. Roll the strap up, disconnect, and carry on to the summit from here. And yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, the towing vehicle should not be the lead vehicle, even when you don't expect to have issues. If you're towing, you really want to have at least one vehicle in front of you, so that if you do run into an unexpected issue, there's somebody in front of you that you can winch off, or they can hook up a snatch strap to assist with the recovery or whatever's sort of required there. Fortunately, on this particular track, plenty of room to create space for people to get around each other. And we're pressing on with our journey to the summit. So this is obviously my second time up Mt Elliot, and for these guys, I think it was the first time for all of them. As I said, it's a part of the high country we don't typically get to very often. It's right up in the sort of northeastern part of the high country, almost over the border into New South Wales. Just had to drop down a gear there. So as I said earlier, the gear that you're in is a little different when you're towing, and this is my first time towing properly off-road, so a bit of a learning experience there, just finding what works and when's the right time to change the gears. And you don't want to hit those humps too hard or too fast when you're towing with a trailer either, particularly a lease front trailer, I think. Again, it looks super clear when you see the GoPro footage out the front, but taken from the back of the dot trailer, you can see even on this section here we're still throwing up plenty of dust, that's for sure. As we're climbing our way up to the summit. So just coming up here to the intersection where we're turning right towards the Mt Elliot summit. So that track on the left there is a continuation of Fisher's Track. Some maps say the track we've come up on is Fisher's Track, some say it's the start of the Mt Elliot Ridge Track. It just depends. You can see the hut there on the right hand side. Now last time I didn't stop and have a good look at that. This time we're definitely going to stop and check it out, so we will come back to that. It's a fairly unique hut. But yeah, continuing up past the repeater station there and the trig. Obviously it's pretty windy up here because they've punched holes in the panels on the trig so that it doesn't get blown off like the Mount Pinnabar one did. And as I said last time I was up here, there's a toilet block actually up here on top of this mountain, because this is where they regularly launch hang gliders from, which is a little bit about the story of the Mt Elliot hut back there. So cracking spot to pull up here at the front with an amazing view with that cleared slope where they launch the hang hang gliders from. Just, yeah, really great spot to enjoy the view. So yeah, cracking spot there. Cameo from Dan. So yeah, heading back to the Mt Elliot hut, which from what I understand,
Okay. Mt Elliot Hut.
was originally sort of constructed
Made for hobbits.
back in the 1960s by a gentleman by the name of Arthur John Fisher, who actually set up this launching site back in the 1960s and built this hut to protect the wings on his glider. Hence the shape and the door at the front there that opens. So
I think he reassembled it here, but like he cut up the hill and then he
So Paul just pointed at this.
cracking bit of history.
stored it here, reassembled it, stored it and then
So there's a bit of a story there about Arthur John Fisher and his hang glider and
yeah, I read it. But
how he put it together and set up this
stickers all
set up
over it.
this site. And the hut has been repaired over the years. It was in a bad state of repair.
There we go.
Look at that.
Magic.
What an engineering solution. Very cool.
So yeah, the restoration work on this hut, from what I understand, was done by the Victorian High Country Huts Association, and they received some support from Forest Fire Management Victoria, which is fantastic. And they've done an amazing job restoring and preserving another special high country hut.
Hang on, Paul. I think we do need to go back, mate.
So this is me running the trip and leading us astray. Not having driven the Mt Elliot Ridge Track or the rest of it, I had missed the fact that the continuation of the Mt Elliot Ridge Track actually comes off before you get back to sort of the Fisher's Track intersection, which is where we came in. So we needed to turn around and head back the other way. Fortunately picked that up before we went too far. I think some of the other guys might have been on the radio suggesting that perhaps I'd missed the track, and indeed we had. So fortunately didn't go too far. Yeah, the turnoff is back here. You can see Luca and Adam and Dan just sitting back here on the main track where that turnoff is, and this is the continuation of the Mt Elliot Ridge Track here now. So just pulled over to let Paul and his FJ take the lead. And from here we're heading south on the Mt Elliot Ridge Track. Now, as you'll see with this one, guys, it is a cracking drive. Now, I've cut a lot of the footage out of this because the footage probably makes it feel a bit samey. It is 36 kilometres long, and look, we all thoroughly enjoyed this drive. It's not a technical, difficult drive. You could probably drive this in your average all-wheel drive Forester or Subaru or something. It's really not a difficult track, this section of it, but it was a great drive. The scenery kept changing. There were cracking views to be had out through the bush, which, again, as I've said before, the camera never picks up with the angle of the camera and the trees and everything in the foreground. You never sort of see that view that we get glimpses of from the car. But I can if you love ridgeline driving, and I know there's a few people that follow the channel because you comment and you message me, if you love ridgeline driving and ridgeline tracks, add this one to the list, guys. It's very accessible off the Murray Valley Highway just outside of Corryong. It is 36 kilometres north to south, and it drops you out on the tail end of a two-wheel drive accessible road, which I think is Narrow Gap Road perhaps, or something like that. Just have a look at that while I'm talking. It's actually the end of the Walker's Logging Road, which turns back into Thalgler Road further north near Thalgler Upper. So yeah, 36 kilometre ridgeline drive. As you can see, there's spots like this where you come to a summit. It's almost a bit of a helipad, and again you get that panorama of the high country around you. Truly amazing. Really epic scenery. As I said, this is not doing it justice at all. And yeah, the dots towing along nicely. The camera does pick up a bit of noise. I didn't actually notice the noise so much in car, but you can certainly hear it through the Hero 7 camera there. But it wasn't certainly enough noise to bother me towing it. In the car, you really didn't feel like you were noticing anything at all. And the Mt Elliot Ridge Track here is just a series of ups and downs, and it's a true ridgeline track in many sections like this, where what I mean by that is you've got the track dropping off steeply to the left and the right as you're driving the ridgeline, and there's some great views which you're getting glimpses of from the camera. But seriously guys, just get out there and drive it. Check it out for yourselves. None of these sections are super steep here. Definitely the entry was the hardest part. That one sort of loose section where I needed Paul to give me a hand, and you can see off to the left there that amazing view through the trees, or at least get glimpses of it. Seems to be a reasonably well-travelled track, this one. And yeah, still plenty of evidence back from the 2019 bushfires, which is starting to seem like a while ago now. So continuing to work our way along, and yeah, just heading down this section with the dog towing along nicely. So just taking it nice and steady through here. Again, one of those sections that's a little different, but you sort of come around, you realise it's dropping off to the left there and starting to drop off to the right. So we're still very much on a ridgeline track. It's just not always super apparent from the footage that you're seeing. Another little bit steeper section here. A little bit of a climb. As the track's sort of laying off to one side of the highest part of this ridgeline. Yeah, what I'm just trying to show you guys here, that the terrain and the tracks kept changing. First main intersection here, so this is Schindler's Track on the hard left, McCormick Gap track ahead left and hard right. That sort of crosses diagonally from where we are. And then obviously we...
Hey guys, so we're a good probably, I don't know, probably, well, 2 hours since we left Corryong, so a good hour and a half probably into this Mt Elliot Ridge Track after visiting the Mt Elliot summit again. Been a really nice track to drive, really scenic, so worth it. And look, apart from a little bit of a challenge in some really soft powdery sound on the way up the Mt Elliot summit, 76 is towing the trailer really well. We've had some decent climbs here that we've had to go up, and generally the steeper ones, second gear, low range, and up we go. We're just climbing this one now, and this isn't actually that steep, and third gear, low range. She's doing it. So really happy with how it's performing. It's not getting hot or anything. It's clearly working a bit, but doing a top job. Just give me a sec. We're at a second gear, low range for this bit.
Working our way up the hill there, you can see the trailer coming along quite well behind the car. Moves from side to side a bit on the leaf sprung suspension, but it's certainly handling the terrain.
So look, that was a reasonably steep climb, a little bit rocky, and second gear, low range, as you just saw, guys. Absolutely handing it a treat. Look, my dot trailer's not real heavy. I think it's probably around 1150 kgs. I haven't weighed it. It doesn't have a lot of gear in it, and they're about a 850, 900 kilo tier. So going really well so far. Haven't got into trouble yet. It'll happen though.
So yeah, still working our way up. You can see Paul's FJ up ahead there leading the way and throwing up a little bit of dust. Nothing quite as loose as the original entry. Working our way around the side here again, cracking view off to the left there that you're really only just barely getting glimpses of. And that's the thing with some of these tracks, like you've really got to drive them to experiencing them. And I've been told by a few people that I don't do a good enough job selling the really good tracks. The people that have gone there after watching the videos have said, you know, it's actually way better than I made it sound in the video. So this is definitely worth a drive if you love those long ridgeline drives and you are looking for a technically challenging track that's going to be difficult to drive. This is a pretty cruisy drive, but it's 38 kilometres of ridgeline driving. A little bit more if you count that entry track. I mean, that's the distance from the Mt Elliot summit, so it's nearly probably over 40 kilometres if you count that entry. It's got to be one of the longest ridgeline tracks anywhere in the high country, I think. I'm not aware of too many that would be in excess of 40 kilometres long. And it did take us a good
few hours, that's for sure. So we've just reached the next intersection point, which, as you can see there on the screen, is with Davis Track on the left and Gray's Track and Mystery Lane on the right, continuing straight to stay on the Mt Elliot Ridge Track. So all these tracks in this area, according to HEMA, are graded easy, and the Mt Elliot Ridge Track is certainly living up to that grading. So just starting to descend on this next section of the ridge. And every time you sort of hit one of these descending sections, the vista in front of you sort of opens up a little bit, and you get these little snippets of looking to the mountains ahead in the high country to the south where we're heading. So yeah, really, really enjoyable. So again, we've reached the next intersection here. So that was a good sort of 6-7 k's between those two intersections. But as I said, I'm sort of not showing the entire track. One, it's 40 k's long, it would take hours, and two, there's no real need to. So that intersection we just went through had Teapot Creek Track on the hard left, the Mountain Unicorn Track on the left, and continuing generally straight but veering right to stay on the Mt Elliot Ridgeline Track, or the Mt Elliot Ridge Track. So from here we've got about 9 k's to go to the end. We just passed Cherry Tree Avenue, which is a kilometre after the last sign. So yeah, about 8 k's to go now on this track before we get onto the Mount Baldy track to take Surveyors Creek Track into Riley's Monument. So again, the terrain changes a lot, and as we sort of got into this southern part here, we noticed all this dead foliage sort of along the sides of the track here, and we're wondering, you know, did they burn that off or what's the go? We ended up deciding, I think, that they'd probably driven along here and actually sprayed something just to kill off the suckers and the other foliage where it's starting to encroach on the track. You'll see that throughout this video on different sections of the track where we've got this brown dying foliage right next to the track, and then a little bit further out from that, everything is still nice and lush and green. So that was the only explanation we could really come up with for that. We are looking at something that's been sprayed. So on the edge here of the ridge, with some great views out to the left. As you can see, that dead grass is fairly thick on the left hand side there. And some stumps there, evidence of trees that have probably been felled after they've been damaged by those bushfires back in 2019, whereas some of these other trees are showing evidence of recovering. Making pretty good time, and as I said, not a difficult technical track to drive at all. Does almost look on camera like the track's disappearing here.
that's just a function of the contrast of the camera. It was always pretty evident where the track actually was. But yeah, some of those sections are probably a little more overgrown than others. And it was quite a nice feeling getting out and sort of exploring another part of the high country that didn't feel super familiar to me. Coming into this part of the high country here, we're sort of north of Mount Pinnabar and east of the Benambra Corryong Road, and it's just not a part of the high country that I've spent a lot of time in at all. Now we're coming down here to the end of the Mt Elliot Ridge Track, and you can see that Walker's Road there on the right hand side. It's a well made sort of two-wheel drive road, if you will, and then straight ahead there's a little short track called the Dam Track that seems to loop back around onto Walker's Road, and then hard left is the Mount Baldy track where Paul's just headed, and that's where we're heading to get onto Surveyors Creek Track to head down to Riley's Monument. So yeah, Dam Track there, sort of straight ahead now, and Mount Baldy track on the left there. So always fun trying to make these sharp turns in the 76. She turns a bit like a barge, and even more interesting when you got a trailer on the back. But yeah, as you can see here, the Mount Baldy track starts off. It's a pretty well made, well graded track, rated easy on the HEMA, and I'd have to agree, it's basically a gravel road, so we're able to keep a fairly good pace. Does have some gentle hills, but nothing like what we've been driving on the Mt Elliot Ridge Track, really. You can see Paul keeping good pace there, throwing up a little bit of dust. Just enough breeze to sort of blow that off the track by the time I was coming through, which is always good. And yeah, this is one of those sections where you can see the little suckers and everything close to the track are all brown and dead looking, but you know, a couple of metres back they're perfectly healthy. So yeah, that's why we think they've come through and they've sprayed something. And whatever it is, it doesn't seem to affect the grasses, only the sort of the woody shrubs and trees. Nice view there straight ahead. Not 100% sure what mountain that would be. Looking at the map, I suspect it was probably could have been Mount Kosciuszko that we were actually looking at through there, but I don't know that for sure. You can see this track changes a little bit, but on the whole it's a pretty well made road. This section is nicely cut into the side of the hill. Some great views there off to the right that you're getting glimpses of, but again it's not the same as actually being there. So now this Mount Baldy track on the HEMA is ranked as difficult. I would have to say that in its current condition, when we drove this, which was now a little while ago, back in April of 2024, it certainly did not warrant a difficult or even a medium rating. I would have said it's fair to say this track was easy, not dissimilar to the Mt Elliot Ridge Track. So possibly it's been graded in the last couple of years, and that's made it a lot easier than what it used to be. So the Mount Baldy track is about 7 k's long, and we sort of drop off the end of that straight into Surveyors Creek Track, and it's about 10 k's along Surveyors Creek Track down to Riley's Monument. You could just see Paul up ahead there in that shot. And again, as we come around to these external corners, you get a little bit of the panorama of the Mount Kosciuszko National Park that we're enjoying the view of as we head our way along this track. Just wrapping its way in and out. Along the side here, and there's Paul up ahead again, leaving a bit of a dust trail for us to follow. Some amazing valleys there with tree ferns. Obviously they tend to grow where the water collects down in the valleys. So I mean, this part of the track seems to be not quite as well driven as some of the earlier sections, but it's still a very well made track with really good traction and nothing to be concerned about. And so these sort of sections like this feel like they've been graded in the last couple of years, so it could be that they tend to get soft and develop some bog holes or what have you, but certainly at the moment that wasn't the case. So I didn't actually capture the exact transition on camera, but yeah, we are on Surveyors Creek Track now, driving towards Riley's Monument. And again, generally speaking, this track has a rating of difficult. Look, I mean, maybe you could call it a medium. There is a little water crossing down towards the end, but I wouldn't have called this difficult either. So this is the water crossing that I was mentioning. It's probably 2/3 the way along Surveyors Creek Track. I think Paul was just waiting up because there's actually some guys on the other side, and he wasn't too sure if they were looking to come across or if they were going to wait for us, and in the end they waved him ahead. I think they're getting ready to set up camp, throwing their firewood there off the top of the truck and on the ground, and plenty of firewood on that blue 70 series as well. So yeah, so just coming through here, and we're keeping left to stay on Surveyors Creek Track, and that is Tin Creek Track on the right hand side. Tin Creek Track goes through to Blue Gum Ridge Track. It's sort of a little connector. Blue Gum Ridge Track is the track that we'll be taking our exit on. Also ranked difficult, and for that one I'd say it's warranted. That'll be the next video, guys, so you won't see that in this video. Yeah, really nice scenic drive along here. You can see, you know, the proliferation of tree ferns there in the low parts next to the track. Just an amazing bit of country to explore and drive around. Getting pretty close to our destination here now. Not too far along here we do come up on the Blue Gum Ridge Track where it joins Surveyors Creek Track. This section of the track here has been repaired, you can see that. And it looks like this little climb here, it certainly gets soft at times. Some ruts starting to form there from people driving the track when it's very wet and soft probably, but for us today, no issue, nice and dry, plenty of traction, no problem at all. track did feel kind of tight at this section, and yeah, just on the right there, that is the Blue Gum Ridge Track, which is the track we've elected to take on our way out of here. But for now, we're heading the last sort of K&a-half or so down to Riley's Monument. You're always conscious when you're heading into a dead-end track like this, and particularly even more conscious when you're towing a trailer. Is there going to be a turning area at the end? What's it going to be like? Am I going to be able to turn the trailer around? You know, you can see here we're definitely heading down. This is a lot steeper than it looks. Nice view there of the opposite side of the Kosciuszko National Park. So looking at New South Wales over there, because it is the Upper Murray down in the bottom of this valley. So we're in Victoria, those hills over there are in New South Wales. Bit of a glimpse there of Paul up ahead. Like, he's just pulled up at where we discovered there is a walking track down to Riley's Monument. So there's not much of a car park here, but this is where the start of the walking track down to Riley's Monument actually is. So we just sort of had a bit of discussion of, are we going to try and find a park here now and go and do the walk and then have lunch, or are we going to have lunch and then do the walk? And for, I think, a number of different reasons, the consensus was that we would go and have lunch and come back and do the walk after lunch. So yeah, heading down, nice little steep descent here, and yeah, I was thinking about what's it going to be like pulling the trailer back up. Definitely one where I was thinking I'd be making sure Paul or somebody goes up before me in case I need a helping hand again, which was entirely possible. And as you just saw on the screen there, thinking about, you know, what's the end going to be like down here. Some maps did show it as a campsite, so I was sort of hoping that, you know, there would be a good turning area if there was in fact a campsite down here. Now, as it turns out, there is a campsite and somebody was using it. So not a big campsite with room for heaps of people, a couple of vehicles probably at best really, but there is this turning area here. There is a little fire pit and a table, picnic table there that you can see the camper that was already here is enjoying that and having some lunch. Now, we did have a good chat to that gentleman, and I wish I could remember his name. I should have written it down. He was familiar with the channel, I think both my channel and Dan's, so always cool to run into people that are sort of familiar with what we do. Bit of a multi-point turn here to get the 76 around this corner. And just into a parking spot where I can get the kitchen and the dot out and knock up some lunch. So we did that.
Not much of a parking area at the top of this hill. Riley's Memorial, 300 metres. Looks like it's going to be pretty easy getting there, somewhat more work getting back. How hard can 300 metres be? Don't worry, I'll make it look hard.
300 metres.
And yeah, it is a pretty easy descent down there. Track sort of gets a little steeper as you head off. Oh
yeah, this is going to be fun walking back up.
Pretty steady downhill grade, but generally good traction. And yeah, I could definitely do some work on my fitness. So yeah, it was taking it slow and steady down here as well. You'd see there Dan's come prepared. In his left hand he's carrying a pair of Crocs. and carrying his expensive camera in his right hand. I'm definitely taking this one slow and steady. You can see there's a lot of rocks on the track. It was a little bit loose, and I was not interested in slipping over and falling and, you know, possibly injuring myself. So yeah, definitely took that slow and steady. And yeah, we've found there is a bit of a water crossing on this track now. Dan must have somehow known because he brought his Crocs, but everybody else had some different strategies. I think Luca and Adam...
Oh, you came prepared, Dan? You brought the Crocs?
Rock hopped across there without getting their feet too wet. I'm definitely not that agile anymore. Paul's elected to remove his shoes, go across barefoot and put his shoes back on the other side. And yeah, Dan has come prepared carrying a pair of Crocs.
I was going to say that. Chances of anyone coming along and knocking them off are pretty slim, you would think.
Hopefully no one knocks them off. Doubling up things because I get a good idea of what we're doing.
That's all right. It'll be good. I'm coming, yeah, I'm just going to plunge in, mate. Socks, shoes and all.
No, don't do that.
Do
you have multiple shoes?
Yeah. So, that's all right, that's what I'm doing. We're just going in.
No pansies allowed.
There we go.
So yeah, just marking our way there.
Yeah, all right. Trousers are getting wet there. There's no two ways about that.
Here we go. No pansies allowed.
About that. There we go.
So yeah, once across that little river crossing, it's a nice grass track after that to a clearing and the monument.
Here we
Don't know
are.
exactly what we're expecting, but this is what we found.
Jack Riley, the man from Snowy River, died here 14th of July 1914. Wow. This is remote enough now, let alone back then.
So nice clearing here with some seats and a bit of a campfire and some stiles there. I don't know if they're not stiles, but some posts there to tie horses up. I think a lot of horse groups come through here. There's certainly evidence on the walking track of that. So guys, look, just while we're thinking about Riley's monument here, think about the realities of this, and as I said, just how remote this actually is. Jack Riley died here back in July of 1914. That's in winter over 100 years ago. So the flag on the map here marks the rough location of the monument. As you've seen, it's not at the end of the track. You've got to walk down a little crossing to get to it. But this is approximately where it is. So we've come in on Surveyors Creek Track here. So just pulling back a little bit, obviously that's the Alpine Way over there that takes you up to Kosciuszko. Clearly highways and things weren't there. This is all part of the Kosciuszko National Park. And, you know, apart from the Alpine Way and the end of this logging road here, there's not really any roads. Even now, they're all just tracks. So again, as we pull back, I will just jump out to a larger format map. So you can see this is the Corryong Road here, way over on this western side here. You know, that's a good 25, 30 Ks from where we are here on the Victoria-New South Wales border with the Upper Murray. And let's just pull out further again. And you can see there, just in the top of frame, the town of Corryong has just come in. And there's actually Mt Elliot just up there where we started that morning. So, and this is obviously Dartmouth down over here. So you think about somebody being out here, camping out here over 110 years ago in winter. The kind of tracks that we have to access this kind of country now simply didn't exist. You certainly weren't doing it in four-wheel drive. You're getting around on horses. It was, it's just an amazing thing to sit back and think about people being out in this kind of remote country over 100 years ago, and in areas that we still consider not that easy to get to and fairly remote even today, because we don't have mobile phone signal or something. So this is where Riley's Monument actually is, and I just wanted to share that with you guys and try and give you a little bit of an appreciation of just thinking about Jack Riley. And he's called the man from Snowy River because obviously he's the guy that it's said that A.B. Patterson based the Man from Snowy River story on, and there's quite a lot of information about that at the Corryong Information Centre. They have the Man from Snowy River Festival every year, so you can find out a lot more about that if you would like to. But yeah, so this is where we are. Going to wrap this video up here, guys. As always, thanks for watching, particularly if you watched right to the end here. Another long one. Nice to have another trip video back up on the channel. Thanks to everybody that comments regularly. Really appreciate that, and I respond to all those personally, as you know. Guys, we're coming into Christmas, obviously. Hope you all have a great Christmas and New Year. Spend some time with your loved ones, and we'll be keeping the videos coming. Might miss a week or two over Christmas, New Year, but we'll do our best to keep the videos coming for you. Have a great one, guys.